China blasts the US bully, says it will fight to the end for Taiwan. China's Defense Minister Wei Fanghe at the Shangri-La Dialogue Summit in Singapore on June 12. Singapore CNN. Chinese Defense Minister Wei Fanghe on Sunday accused the United States of being a bully and hijacking countries around the region during the combative speech in which he said his country would fight to the very end to stop Taiwanese independence. Taiwan is first and foremost China's Taiwan, Wei told the Shangri-La Dialogue, Asia's premier defense conference, adding that China would not hesitate to crush any attempt by the self-governed Iceland to secede. The speech, which came just 2 weeks after U.S. President Joe Biden said the U.S. would respond militarily if China attacked Taiwan, capped a weekend of confrontational exchanges between the American and Chinese military chiefs. Wei also called out U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who has told the conference a day earlier that China was engaged in coercive, aggressive, and dangerous actions that threatened to undermine security, stability, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific. Austin had also talked about U.S. coalition building in the region and its joint military exercises with Japan, Australia, India, and Indonesia. But Wei said this was a kind of power politics that China rejected. No one and no country should impose its will on others or bully others under the guise of multilateralism, Wei said. We noticed Secretary Austin's remarks on the U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy. To us, this strategy was an attempt to build an exclusive small group in the name of the free and open Indo-Pacific to hijack the countries in our region and target on specific country. It is a strategy to create a conflict, Wei said. Fight to the very end. But Wei, who met Austin in the bilateral meeting on Friday afternoon, reserved some of his harshest criticism for Washington's stance on Taiwan, the democratically governed Iceland that Beijing considers its territory despite never having ruled it. Austin had on Friday said the U.S. would continue to support Taiwan with the means to defend itself, including arms sales, which China sees as a violation of its sovereignty. Under U.S. policy, Washington provides the Taiwan defensive weapons, but has remained intentionally ambiguous on whether it would intervene militarily in the event of the Chinese attack, a policy that the White House insists remains intact despite Biden's recent comments that appears to deviate from the ambiguity. Washington acknowledges China's position that Taiwan is a part of China, but has never officially recognized Beijing's claim to the self-governing Iceland. Wei said there would be no compromise on China's sovereignty or the question of whether Taiwan will one day be reunited with the mainland, a clear goal of China's ruling Communist Party, which calls for peaceful reunification but has not ruled out using force. China will definitely realized its reunification. It's a historical trend that no force can stop, Wei said, and the People's Liberation Army was prepared to spill blood to enforce that if necessary, he said. Let me make this clear, Wei said. If anyone dares to secede Taiwan from China, we will not hesitate to fight. We will fight at all costs, and we will fight to the very end. Chinese defense minister said the road the US is taking in the region is one his country would never go down. Law. Otherwise, the law of the jungle will prevail. The other of human civilization must be based on the rule of the law. Otherwise, the law of the jungle will prevail, Wei said. China will never seek hegemony or engage in military expansion or arms race. We do not bully others, but we will not allow others to bully us, he said. Wei leads China's Ministry of National Defense, but is not the top military official in the Chinese Communist Party's Central Military Commission, which controls China's armed forces under Chinese leader Xi Jinping. China's Defense Minister Wei Fang he speaks at the Shangri-La Dialogue Summit in Singapore on June 12. Regional tensions. China has faced a barrage of criticism during the Shangri-La Conference. Delegates from US allies like Australia and Canada have been critical of what they see as Beijing's violation of international laws, including what they claim are dangerous intercepts of their aircraft operating in the region. Without mentioning China by name, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said Friday that the Asian Security situation is prompting Tokyo to substantially increase its defense budget and consider acquiring counter-strike weapons of the type not now in its arsenal. Japanese forces and Australian forces, among other US allies and partners, have been operating in the South China Sea, almost all of which China claims as its sovereign territory. China has militarized various man-made islands in the 1.3 million square mile waterway, but Wei inferred that it was the US that was merciless by sending naval ships into the waterway. Some big power has long practiced navigation hegemony on the pretext of freedom of navigation, Wei said. He said the US and China are at the critical juncture in their relationship, but contended the ball is in Washington's court when it comes to diffusing tensions. Washington must stop smearing Beijing and interfering in China's internal affairs for its relations to prove, Wei said. It will be historic and strategic mistake to insist on taking China as the threat and of the adversary or even an enemy, he said. If Washington can treat Beijing with mutual respect, there is room for both nations to prosper, Wei contended. But he had stern warning if the United States choose otherwise. If you want to cooperate, you should promote mutual benefits and win-win result. However, if you want confrontation, we will fight to the end.